Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ummah Radio. You are listening to the Tafseer class with myself, Abu Mus'ab. Now, as you know, we are doing the kitab known as Mukhtasar Tafseer ibn Kathir, the abridged version of Tafseer ibn Kathir, of Imam ibn Kathir rahimahullah. In our last class, we had just begun with the tafsir on the ayah number 44. أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون. That this ayah is addressing the Jews, as we were continuing on from the previous ayat, that it was addressed to those Jews who used to command people with good but who did not do it themselves. And the previous ayats leading up to this were those ayat which speaks about, or rather which was a condemnation and a warning against the Jews for cloaking the truth with falsehood. So inshallah, it's from this ayah number 44, which is on page 59, that we will be continuing on from tonight, inshallah. So then, to begin, Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So like I said last time, we had just started and we had read the first paragraph of this ayah. We had stopped at the end of the statement from Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, where he commented and said, يقول أتأمرون الناس بالدخول في دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وغير ذلك مما أمرتم به من إقام الصلاة وتنسون أنفسكم. Where he commented on this ayah saying that, are you commanding people to enter into the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and all the other good things which you command them with, like establishing salah, etc. But وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ, you forget about yourselves. So we continue on tonight from قال أبو الدرداء رضي الله عنه. So continue, he says, قال أبو الدرداء رضي الله عنه, that Hazrat Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, he commented, or rather I shouldn't say he commented, but he said, and this is what this portion is coming here, he said, لا يفقه الرجل كل الفقه حتى يمقت الناس في ذات الله ثم يرجع إلى نفسه فيكون لها أشد مقطع. That Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, he said that no person truly has the understanding of the deen until he hates people for the sake of Allah, and then he looks at himself, he assesses himself, he returns his gaze now to himself, and فَيَكُونُ لَهَا أَشَدَّ مَقْتَى, that his own self becomes more hated to him than other people. Now there's a couple of points over here. The first point is that this hating people for the sake of Allah is indeed part of the deen. It falls underneath the category of partially under al-wala wal-bara, which is allegiance to the believers and disavowal from the disbelievers. Goes further in the numerous ahadith on the point of loving for the sake of Allah, al-hubbu fillah wal-bughdu fillah wal-bughdu lillah, that you love people for the sake of Allah and you hate people for the sake of Allah. So this hadith here is, or rather the statement of Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu, is all part of the same thing, that it is also part of your deen that you hate people for the sake of Allah. That is there and in its place. The second part here is that the reason why you hate people for the sake of Allah, you look now at this person and you see his kufr, so you hate him for the sake of Allah. Then you look at this other person here, whatever it is that they are doing, you see all of their problems. Then he says that you now focus your gaze on your own self, and you yourself, you know the type of sins and what sins and all type of things which it is that you are engaged in. And then he says فَيَكُونُ لَهَا أَشَدَّ مَقْتَى, that your own self now becomes more detestable to you than anyone else. Why? Because you know what are your own faults. The other man out there in the street don't know what your faults are, and if you can see his fault, then by rights you should be able to more see to your own fault. So therefore, if you are engaging in sin, you are disobeying Allah, then the way you hate this kafir for being a disbeliever in Allah. You should hate your own self too for going against the commands of Allah, which you know is directly in opposition to the laws of Allah. So for this reason, you should hate yourself. This is not trying to say that don't hate people for the sake of Allah. Not at all. It's trying to say that you hate people for the sake of Allah, and that is part of the deen. But likewise, don't forget about your own self either. So it all is basically linked to the same thing, that don't look only at their faults, but look at your own faults as well. It's similar to this. أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't forget about yourself when you are commanding other people with good. To go further, he says, وقال عبد الرحمن بن أسلم في هذه الآية. عبد الرحمن بن أسلم, he commented on this ayah saying, هؤلاء اليهود إذا جاء الرجل سألهم عن الشيء ليس فيه حق ولا رشوة أمروه بالحق. He says that this ayah was also addressed to the Jews. The way they used to carry on is like this, that when a person used to come to them asking them about something where there's no right and no bribery involved, then they would command him with the truth. Basically, they're telling him the truth. So let's say, for example, a person would come and ask, should I perform salah? And they would tell him, yeah, you should perform your salah, stuff of that nature. When there was any bribery involved, let's say, for example, someone came and gave them a bribe and said, tell this man that you should not perform salah. So the man come and ask them, should I perform salah? Now, because he's got a bribe, there's a bribery involved, so he will tell him, no, you must not perform salah. So that's why I say, when there was some reason behind it, when there was some bribery or some corruption going on, then they would give all these corrupted fatwa. But when there was, it was just like the unconcerned, they've got nothing to do with the topic, then they would speak the truth. That is why, like I mentioned in the last class, that there were some of those Jews who used to command the people to accept Islam and everything of the sort like that. Why? Because they had no interest in the whole things. They had no money that was coming to them, that if you tell people don't accept Islam, we'll give you money or stuff of that sort. So therefore, it was no harm to them in their mind for telling people go and accept Islam and this is the final Nabi and everything of that sort. But as long as there was some bribery and some corruption going on, then the Jews would change the deen of Allah. He goes further, he says, فَقَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. That he says, for this reason, that is why Allah Ta'ala said, that do you command people with goodness and you forget about your own selves. وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ, and it is at the same time you are reading the book. Meaning in the case of the Jews here now, it is the Torah. You've got the book of Allah, which was revealed from Allah to Musa alayhi salam. You have it in front of you. You know the truth is inside there, what you are supposed to do, and yet you go against it. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Do you not have any sins? He says, وَالْغَرَضُ أَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى ذَمَّهُمْ عَلَى هَذَا الصَّنِيعِ وَنَبَّهَهُمْ عَلى خَطَئِهِمْ فِي حَقِّ أَنفُسِهِمْ حَيْثُ كَانُوا يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْخَيْرِ وَلَا يَفْعَلُونَهُ. He says that the crux of the whole matter is that Allah Ta'ala condemned them upon this particular action of theirs and warned them about this flaw and this sin which they had fallen into with regards to their own selves, where they would command people to do good but they would not do it themselves. He says, وَلَيْسَ الْمُرَادُ ذَمَّهُمْ عَلَى أَمْرِهِمْ بِالْبِرِّ مَعَ تَرْكِهِمْ لَهُ بَلْ عَلَى تَرْكِهِمْ لَهُ. He says, some people may get a confusion over here, so he brings the point and he says that they were not being condemned for commanding people with goodness and not doing it themselves. That is not what they were condemned for. Rather, the only thing they were being condemned about is the fact that they were not doing it. Let me just repeat it so that it's not any confusing. Here you have person A, that he is telling people to do good but he doesn't do it. This person is now being taken to task, not because he's telling people that now, don't tell the people to do good, first you do good. That is not what is being meant here. That is the one, I should put it, let me call it the misconception that Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah is trying to address over here, that this is not the reason why they were condemned. They were not being told here that don't tell the people about goodness because you are not doing it yourself. But rather, the reason they were being taken to task is that they were not doing it themselves. They were right in commanding the people to do good, but wrong in not doing it themselves. So here he goes further on the point. He says, فَإِنَّ الْأَمْرَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ مَعْرُوفٌ وَهُوَ وَاجِبٌ عَلَى الْعَالِمِ. He says that to command people with goodness, this is something which is known, it is something good, and it is an obligation in the deen. Ma'rufun, that commanding people with goodness is goodness itself. And doing goodness is something which is wajib upon the alim. But ولكن الواجب والأولى بالعالم أن يفعله مع من أمرهم به. But what is also wajib and which is rightful, the correct thing for the alim is that he should also do that which he is commanding the people to do as well. ولا يتخلف عنهم كما قال شعيب عليه السلام وما أريد أن أخالفكم إلى ما أنهاكم عنه إن أريد إلا الإصلاح ما استطعت. He says that the alim who's now commanding people with goodness, he should be the one who also engages in that goodness, and he should not fall back from that. Similar now to how Hazrat Shu'aib alayhi salam, when he told his people, وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ أُخَالِفَكُمْ إِلَى مَا أَنْهَاكُمْ عَنْ, when he was giving his da'wah to his people, telling them to come to Allah and everything of the sort, he told them that I am not trying to contradict you and go and do that things which I am prohibiting you from. Meaning, if I tell you that don't worship idols, don't do this, don't do that, I'm not going to go and turn against my words and go and do that things myself. No. In uridu illa al-islah mastata'tu, all I intend is only goodness as much as I am able to do. So the point of Hazrat Shu'aib alayhi salam was, okay, question over here, does the same apply to forbidding evil? Yes, it applies to forbidding evil, and we will come to that point actually just in a moment. I was going to mention it, but because it is over here, that's why I was leaving it for a bit. So we'll come to it now just in a moment, so let's just go a little bit ahead over here. So anyhow, what he was saying here is that it is the obligation upon the alim that he should do those things which he command the people with, and not fall back and fall short in that things, because that is now the meaning of the ayah of Shu'aib alayhi salam, that I don't tell you one thing and do something else myself, if we were to paraphrase it in our own words. So he goes further now, he says, فَكُلٌّ مِّنَ الْأَمْرِ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَفِعْلِهِ وَاجِبٌ لا يسقط أحدهما بترك الآخر على أصح قولي العلماء من السلف والخلف. He says that both commanding people to do good and doing good itself, both of these actions are wajib. Both these actions are obligatory. لا يسقط أحدهما بترك الآخر, that one don't fall away when the other one is absent. Meaning that if you are doing good, doesn't mean now that you must not command people to do good. Or in this case here, I mean, if you are not doing good, then now you shouldn't command people to do good, because now you feel, no, I'm not doing it myself, how can I tell the next person? That is incorrect. So he says لا يسقط أحدهما بترك الآخر, that just because you are not doing good yourself does not mean that the obligation of commanding people with goodness falls away. These are two separate obligations. Let's put it in this way. Performing salah is wajib, and fasting in the month of Ramadan is wajib. Just because a person do not perform salah does not mean that now you should tell him, no, you don't perform salah, don't bother fasting, don't fast. That is incorrect. Why? Because fasting is one obligation and performing salah is one obligation. Just because he does not perform salah does not mean he must not fast. Or let's say he don't fast, doesn't mean now he must not perform his salah. If you are lacking in something, it does not prevent or push the obligation of another obligatory action off from you. So in this manner here, the doing of good deeds is an obligation, and commanding people to do good deeds is also an obligation. So these are two separate obligations which are not interlinked with one, or rather I should say which are not dependent on one another. So just because you are lacking in one does not mean you are now to leave off the other. He says, this is على أصح قولي العلماء من السلف والخلف, that this is according to the most correct opinion of the ulama from both the salaf and the khalaf. he says وذهب بعضهم إلى أن مرتكب المعاصي لا ينهى غيره عنها وهذا ضعيف. He says that there's some scholars who hold the opinion that a person who is engaged in sin, he should not prohibit others from that sin as well. But this is a weak opinion, meaning that, let's say for example, you're a person who you drink wine, for example. Now, doesn't mean because you're a drunkard you can't tell the next person now to stop drinking. Not at all. He said this is a weak opinion. The Jumhurul Ulama are of the viewpoint that even if you are a drunkard, and in fact the ulama have stated that even if you are two drunks sitting next to one another in a bar, each of you have got a beer in your hand, you are both drinking, it is still your duty, despite the fact that you are sitting at the same table drinking with him. But if you were now to tell him, it's haram what you are doing, you should not be drinking, he would still be doing his duty of forbidding the evil. So that's what the question of earlier, that does it apply to forbidding evil as well? That meaning that you forbidden evil while in reality you are engaged in the same evil. It applies exactly the same way. So you may be a zani and you see another person committing zina and you tell him stop committing zina. Don't mean now that because you are a zani that you are now no longer allowed to tell him this. So therefore your one sin does not negate. Okay, Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy Anil Munkar, both of these things are so closely interlinked that it's difficult to pull the one away without the other. Because commanding of goodness is part of forbidding evil as well. And likewise the opposite as well. If you have something which is an obligation, so if you, let's say for example you have salah, you commanding someone to perform salah is something which is good. But if a person don't perform salah, then he's leaving out an obligation and therefore he falls into sin. So by you commanding a person to perform salah is, although you are doing Amr bil Ma'ruf, you are also at the same time doing Nahy Anil Munkar. So they are very interlinked. That when you see it break up is when it comes into matters which are from the Sunan and the Nawafil, stuff of that sort. That, like say for example, you tell people you should fast the Ayyamul Bid, the white days, but you yourself you don't fast those days. And if you do stuff of this sort here, that there's something which is nafil, you don't do it, but you command other people to do it, obviously informing them that it's sunnah or nafil, whatever the case may be, then this is not something which you will be condemned for, because it is not an obligation upon you. Yes, definitely it's something that you should be doing it yourself since you are informing others of it, but you will not, it's not the same as a person that you command someone to do an obligatory action but you yourself are lacking in it. Anyhow, let's continue just on for a bit here. He says والصحيح أن العالم يأمر بالمعروف وإن لم يفعله وينهى عن المنكر وإن ارتكبه. This is the crux of the matter. He says here that the correct opinion is that the alim, he will command people with goodness even if he doesn't do it, and he will prohibit people from the evil even if he does it. So you, like I mentioned, you are both sitting and committing the same evil of drinking wine by the same table. Doesn't mean now that no, I'm also drinking, I can't tell you must stop drinking or that it's haram to drink. The drinking is a sin and prohibiting the evil is a command. So they are not dependent on one another, that just because you are now engaged in the sin that the obligation of prohibiting the evil falls away. So it is your duty as a drunkard sitting next to another drunkard that you should tell him, what we are doing is haram and we should not be doing it, something of that sort. You make your Nahy Anil Munkar at the same time. So that is what he's trying to say. If you command somebody with something goodness, it is something that you should do it as well. But if you don't do it, it does not absolve you of commanding people with the goodness. And the same applies when it comes to prohibiting evil. And here's one very important point which comes from Imam Sa'id ibn Jubair rahimahullah. He says, قال سعيد بن جبير لو كان المرء لا يأمر بالمعروف ولا ينهى عن المنكر حتى لا يكون فيه شيء ما أمر أحد بمعروف ولا نهى عن منكر. That Imam Sa'id ibn Jubair rahimahullah, he says that if a person was to hold back from commanding people with goodness and prohibiting them from evil until the time comes where he has inculcated that into his own life, then nobody would command with goodness, nor will anyone prohibit evil. Meaning, and you find in certain fairy tale stories of this sort here that, okay, definitely it is something which you should strive towards, but you can't say that, no, I can't tell you about it because I myself am engaged in it. I can't tell you must perform tahajjud because I don't perform tahajjud. I can't tell you don't drink wine because I'm drinking wine. So stuff of this nature over here. So it's not a requirement that you should first inculcate this good deed into your own self or remove the sin from your own life before you can command with it or prohibit people from it. And in fact, one of the other ulama of the Salaf as well, I forget exactly who, I think perhaps it may have been Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, who said that it is actually like a deception from shaitan that a person holds, that shaitan tricks a person into saying that, no, I'm engaged in this evil, or I don't do this good myself, so I can't tell people to do good, or I can't tell them to abstain from this particular evil. So it's actually shaitan who is deceiving you in this manner here to prevent you from commanding with good and prohibiting the evil. So it is still your duty to command the good and still your duty to prohibit the evil, despite the fact that you may not be doing that good and despite the fact that you may be engaged in that very evil. He goes further, he says, قلت لكنه والحالة هذه مذموم على ترك الطاعة وفعله المعصية لعلمه بها ومخالفته على بصيرة فإنه ليس من يعلم كمن لا يعلم. He says, Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah who comments, he says, but, and this is the state that this person is in, is a condemned state in the sense that he commands people with goodness and he's actually committing a sin. Meaning, he tells people don't commit zina, but he himself commits zina. Why? لِعِلْمِهِ بِهَا, because he has the knowledge of it, and he's contradicting that while having clear knowledge on the topic. Because the one who has knowledge is not like the one who is ignorant. The point that he's trying to mention over here, to wrap it up in a nutshell, is that yes, you are sinful by engaging in that same sin that you are now telling people not to do. Like I say, you are both sitting there drinking wine, so you are sinful by commanding people to do something which you are not doing. You are sinful from that angle, but it's like, let me put it this way, it's the lesser of the two evils. Both are sins, but this is, as you would call it, the lesser of the two evils. So it's a sin to, as you say, engage in this particular sin, and it's also sinful to speak and command people with goodness while you are not engaging in it yourself. So you should not be a person basically who commands people with goodness but who forgets to do it your own self. But if you happen to find yourself in that situation, that should not prevent you from speaking the truth, commanding the good and prohibiting the evil. He goes further, he says, وَلِهَذَا جَاءَتِ الْأَحَادِيثُ فِي الْوَعِيدِ عَلَى ذَلِكَ كَمَا قَالَ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل العالم الذي يعلم الناس الخير ولا يعمل به كمثل السراج يضيء للناس ويحرق نفسه. He says, for this reason, there has come numerous ahadith as a warning against this from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For example, the hadith wherein Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the example of an alim who teaches the people goodness but who does not do it himself, he is like a lamp that gives light to the people but burns itself out. So the hadith is actually quite straightforward. It's basically saying the lamp does not benefit its own self. It benefits for everybody around it. So again, you can see that the person is providing some benefit. He is doing his one duty, but he's falling short from being able to help his own self. That is why he is burning his own self out. Like that candle, you light it, it will give light, but it will die eventually at the end of the day, burning itself out. So it is not something that you should strive towards to be a person who goes against your word, that you say one thing and do another. But like I say, at the end of the day, as the ulama have said, if that is the situation that you are required to speak on the topic, then you have to speak the truth, even if you may not be doing it yourself. He goes further, he says, وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مررت ليلة أسري بي على قوم تقرض شفاههم بمقاريض من نار قلت من هؤلاء قالوا خطباء أمتك من أهل الدنيا ممن كانوا يأمرون الناس بالبر وينسون أنفسهم وهم يتلون الكتاب أفلا يعقلون. Okay, question over here. Would it also be a sign of hypocrisy? Meaning to do something or to command people with goodness while not doing it yourself? From an angle, but not... Technically, if we go in towards the linguistic definition of hypocrisy, then yes, it is hypocritical to tell people to do something while you yourself are not doing it. But it's not on that level of hypocrisy that you, as you say, you become from the kafir type of munafiq from being engaged in this. Unless, of course, you see, one thing is, you know it's a shortcoming that you are involved in and you admit it, so it's a sin that's in its place. It's a different story when, maybe for example, you want to change the deen. You tell people one thing but you believe it to be something else. That is where the real hypocrisy comes in, because it's from a belief perspective that your belief has changed. But if you know drinking is a sin, but it's a flaw which you have, that you happen to just drink alcohol the whole time, then you command people to abstain from alcohol even though you are engaged in it. So it's a sin, but you will not be termed as a munafiq. Wallahu a'lam. Anyhow, coming back to the hadith, in this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam had mentioned that on the night of Isra, you can call it the night of Mi'raj, on that night, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that I passed by a people whose lips were being cut with scissors of fire. So I asked, Man ha'ula, who are these people? The malaika, they responded saying, Khutaba'u ummatik, that these are the these are the speakers of your ummah. Meaning you can say the ulama, but not restricted only to ulama. That's why the term khutaba is used. A khatib, someone who gives a lecture. So whether you are as you term today, a da'i, or even if you're not a da'i, you're just a person who is speaking about the deen, but you are going contrary to it, it will all fall under the purview of the same hadith here. So anyhow, خُطَبَاءُ أُمَّتِكَ, that these are the speakers of your ummah from the people of this dunya. مِمَّنْ كَانُوا يَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ, those who used to command the people with goodness, وَيَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَهُم, but would forget their own selves, وَهُمْ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابِ, in the state that they were reading the kitab, which is the Quran. أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ, did they not have any sense? So from this hadith over here, you can see that the malaika are using this very same ayah, أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ, that whole ayah, their wording is slightly different, but what they are using this same ayah to apply to Muslims as well. So, and that is where our principle of tafsir comes in, that al-ibratu bi'umum al-lafz la li khususi sabab, that we take benefit from the unrestricted nature of the words, not the specific reason for revelation. So although this ayah was revealed regarding the Jews, but if we find ourselves falling into, like how the ayah describes a certain type of people, if we find that characteristics in ourselves, then we know there's a problem over there and we have to change it so that we do not be from amongst those people. Alright, so anyhow, the malaika were now speaking that these people, they used to command people with goodness but would forget about their own selves while they used to recite the Quran. So obviously, like how the Jews have the Torah that they are reciting from, in a like manner, you as a Muslim, you have the Quran which you are reciting from. So where's your sense that you are commanding people to do the goodness, but you're forgetting and not doing it your own self? Alright, moving on now to the next hadith. Alright, so anyhow, we move on to the next hadith that Imam bin Kathir rahimahullah, he says, وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم, that قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يجاء بالرجل يوم القيامة فيلقى في النار فتندلق به أقتابه فيدور بها في النار كما يدور الحمار برحاه فيطيف به أهل النار فيقولون يا فلان ما أصابك ألم تكن تأمرنا بالمعروف وتنهانا عن المنكر فيقول كنت آمركم بالمعروف ولا آتيه وأنهاكم عن المنكر وآتيه. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam again gives a, if you can call it not exactly whether you want to call it a prophecy, but it's about this, that there will come a person, and it's not restricted to one person only, in particular can be a number of people, but anyhow a person will be brought on the day of Qiyamah and he will be cast into Jahannam. فَتَنْدَلِقُ بِهِ أَقْتَابُهُ, that he will go around a, as you can say, like making tawaf. He will go around a pole that anyhow this person will be cast into Jahannam. فَتَنْدَلِقُ بِهِ أَقْتَابُهُ, that he will be going around this particular pole, like in Jahannam, like how a donkey goes around a mill. You know, when the donkey or the buffalo, whatever it is causing the mill to move, it walks in a circle, and then the wheel of the mill will move as the animal moves. So in a like manner, this person will be walking around like this in Jahannam, and then the people of Jahannam themselves will come to basically to visit. Fayutifu is from the same word of tawaf, but obviously they're not going to be making tawaf around him. But what it means here is that the people in Jahannam will now come to visit this person, and they will say, Ya Fulan, oh so and so, what has happened to you? Alam takun ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhana 'anil munkar. Were you not the one who used to command us with goodness and prohibit us from evil? So basically, what are you doing over here? You know, you were, as far as we were concerned, you were a good person. You were stopping us from evil. You were commanding us with goodness and everything of the sort. So what made you land up over here? Then this person will respond and say, Kuntu amurukum bil ma'rufi wala atihi. That I used to command you all with goodness, but wala atihi, I would not do it my own self. So I used to tell you to do good, but I would not do that good my own self. وَأَنْهَاكُمْ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَآتِيهِ. And I used to prohibit you from evil, and I myself used to engage in it. So this hadith is again one of those that's very apt to this topic over here, which, like I summed it up earlier, that although it is still your duty to speak the truth and prohibit the evil and command the good, all there in its place, but it does not change the fact that you are in a very bad situation, that you are contradicting yourself in this manner. That is why you may end up being amongst these people here who will go around in Jahannam, because you would tell people to do goodness but you didn't do it, and you would prohibit them from evil but you yourself used to do it. So what these ahadith and everything is trying to say is that don't be from these sort of people over here But it's at the same time, it's not telling you that if you happen to find yourself in that situation, then keep quiet and don't command good and don't prohibit the evil. That's not what he's trying to say. Alright, anyhow, he says, وقد ورد في بعض الآثار أنه يغفر للجاهل 70 مرة حتى يغفر للعالم مرة واحدة ليس من يعلم كمن لا يعلم. This is also another point. He says that it has come in various narrations that an ignorant person will be forgiven 70 times before an alim is forgiven one time, because the one who knows is not like the one who does not know. A person commits a sin out of ignorance, or whatever the case may be. Generally the case, it's ignorance that leads a person to the sin. So he has 70% better chance, or rather 70 chances of being forgiven before the alim has a chance of being forgiven. Why? Because this man, when he committed the sin, he was ignorant. He didn't know, perhaps, for example, that it's prohibited, or what's the dalil behind it being prohibited and stuff of that sort. Maybe he just heard some scholar saying so, and he has no, it's maybe a sellout scholar, so he don't have any dalil, or rather any trust in this person, that what this person is saying is from the sunnah. So a person like this, who through his ignorance, there's 70 times better chance that he will be forgiven before the alim who knows, who has the knowledge and everything of the sort, who engages in the sin. Because now he has all the knowledge, he knows everything, what he's supposed to do and what he's not supposed to do. So therefore he has no excuse basically for engaging in the sin. So therefore the ulama will be taken more stricter to task than the general public. Now there's one more point, additional point over here, is that ignorance is not necessarily an excuse, and ignorance also differs. If you, as long as you know something is a sin, or it's wrong, or whatever the case may be, then you will be taken to task for it. And in fact, one of the other ulama had commented on this point of the classical ulama and said that if ignorance was always an excuse, then it would have been better to be ignorant than be knowledgeable. That meaning that if you can basically go through your life as a jahil, what I don't know can't hurt me, with that sort of mentality. So if that was really the case, that you can just remain ignorant and you won't be taken to task, then in that case, why should you go and study the deen? And then when you study the deen, now you're going to be taken to task more seriously. So just basically live as a jahil. So that's why he says that if ignorance was now to be an excuse, then it would be better to be ignorant than knowledgeable, showing that not all ignorance is excused. And again, like I said, ignorance is of different levels. Doesn't mean that you have to be an alim, that it's based on these ayat and these hadith and this and this and this, to say that this particular action here is haram and stuff of that sort, then only you will be taken to task. No, if you know that something is haram and you engage in it, that is sufficient for you to be taken to task on that particular topic. Anyhow, he ended off the point saying, لَيْسَ مَنْ يَعْلَمُ كَمَنْ لَا يَعْلَمُ, that the one who has knowledge and who knows is not like the one who does not know. There's a distinction between the two. One, you are intentionally disobeying, and the other one, through ignorance you are disobeying. He goes further, he says, وَقَالَ تَعَالَى قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ إِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. He says that Allah Ta'ala mentions in the Quran, say, O Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, are those who know equal to those who do not know? It is only those people, the ulul albab, the people of intelligence, the people of knowledge, who remembers, or who can take lesson from this. That the person of knowledge and the person who is ignorant, they are not equal. They are not on the same footing or the same page. وروي عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال إن أناسا من أهل الجنة يطلعون على أناس من أهل النار فيقولون بما دخلتم النار فوالله ما دخلنا الجنة إلا بما تعلمنا منكم فيقولون إنا كنا نقول ولا نفعل. Another very strong hadith, similar to the one we just previously passed by. It says here that it's reported from Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that there will be a group from the people of Jannah who will look down upon the people of Jahannam. So in Jannah, they like looking around, where's so and so? No, he's there in Jahannam. Let's go have a look. Where is he? I want to speak to him. So they will come see to the people of Jahannam, and they will say, Bima dakhaltum, what is it that caused you to enter Jahannam? For Wallahi ma dakhalna al-jannata illa bima ta'allamna minkum. Because by Allah, we did not enter Jannah except through that which we learned from you. Meaning, let's say for example, you learn by a scholar, but this scholar is an evil scholar, whatever the case may be, or he's just non-practicing, whatever it is. This person, whatever you learned from him, you acted upon it. So through acting upon the deen, you landed up in Jannah. And him, despite having his knowledge, he did not act upon it, and that led him to Jahannam. So this person will now respond and say, Inna kunna naqulu wala naf'al. That the reason for us being here in Jahannam now is that we used to say things, but we would not do it ourselves. Alright, question over here. What if you teach an opinion to others that you yourself don't follow? Absolutely no harm in that. Let's take for example, as far as any issue basically that's ikhtilaf on. So let's say within the Hanafi madhab, let's take one of those common issues over there, that the feet of a woman is not awra according to the fatwa of the madhab. But there exists two other opinions in the madhab as well. One which says the feet are awra. One says, the third view says that the feet are awra in salah but not outside of salah. So three distinct opinions. So perhaps you hold the opinion that the feet are indeed awra, but now you are teaching a kitab like Al-Hidayah of Imam Al-Marghinani rahimahullah, which says that the feet of a woman is not awra. So now you teach people this opinion, which is the fatwa of the madhab, even though you act upon a differing opinion. No harm in it. It's like if you are a Hanafi and you are teaching a person a portion from Al-Majmu' of Imam Al-Nawawi or Al-Mughni of Imam Ibn Qudama, doesn't mean you become a Shafi or become a Hanbali. You're just expounding to a person a ruling from a different madhab. So there's absolutely no harm in that regard, as long as what you are acting upon is also something which is from the deen. That is the crux of the matter, is that you should not be telling people to do good while you are doing bad. So let's take something even like the topic of seafood, crabs, prawns, not locusts, lobsters, and all these sort of things over here. According to the fatwa of the Hanafi madhab, these sort of things are not permissible. The other madhahib give permissibility for it, but the fatwa of the Hanafi madhab is that these things are not allowed. So let's say for example, you don't eat it, but you tell other people that this person says he's a Shafi'i, that you tell him according to your madhab it's permissible. No harm in that at all. Alright. It was to do with the question of doing something, or rather telling people about an opinion on an action which you yourself don't follow. So the basis of the whole thing, like I mentioned, is that you should not be doing something which is considered to be a sin. So as long as what you are doing is not a sin, then you've got no problem. So like I say, one view says feet is not awra, another view says feet is awra. One view says you can eat lobsters, another view says you can't eat lobsters. As long as it is an accepted opinion within the deen, then there's no problem. But if the deen says A and now you are saying B, that's where the problem lies. So anything which is part of the deen, despite the fact that you may not hold that particular opinion, it's not a problem. So on matters of ikhtilaf, there's no harm if you teach someone an opinion which you yourself don't hold. That will not fall in the purview of this topic over here. Alright, let's read the last paragraph and then we can stop on that point, inshallah. He says, وَجَاءَ رَجُلٌ إِلَى ابْنِ عَبَّاسٍ رضي الله عنهما فقال يا ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما إني أريد أن آمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر قال أبلغت ذلك؟ قال أرجو. قال إن لم تخشى أن تفتضح بثلاث آيات من كتاب الله ففعل. He says that a man came to Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma and said that, "Oh Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, inni uridu an amura bil ma'ruf." I intend to go out and command people with goodness, wa anha anil munkar, and prohibit people from evil. So Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma questioned him and said, "Aballaghta dhalik? Have you reached that level? Meaning, have you reached that level where if you're going to be telling people perform your salah, don't drink wine, are you performing your salah and abstaining from wine and stuff of that sort?" Then the person said, "Arju, I hope so." Meaning, I hope that I'm avoiding all the evils and sins that I'm going to be telling the people not to do, and that I'm doing all the good that I will be commanding them to do. Then Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu replied and said, إِن لَمْ تَخْشَى أَن تُفْتَضَحَ بِثَلَاثِ آيَاتٍ مِنْ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ فَافْعَلْ. If you don't fear being exposed basically by 3 ayat from the book of Allah, then go ahead and do it. So he said, قَالَ وَمَا هُنَّ? What are those 3 ayat that you mentioned? So these 3 ayat that Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu spoke of, he said, قال قوله تعالى أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم. That the first ayah is this one over here, that أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم. Do you command people with goodness while you forget about your own selves? أحكمت هذه Okay, أحكمت هذه, are you, basically what this point over here means is that, are you safe from this? Meaning that, okay, you can call it, are you free of this? That whatever you're going to be commanding the people with, that you are not going to be commanding them with something that you yourself are not doing. So the قال لا, the person replied and saying no. Possibly, I'm going to be saying this and I myself am not doing it. قال فالحرف الثاني قال قوله تعالى لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون أحكمت هذه قال لا. He said, the second point he said is that the ayah Allah says that, why do you say that which you do not do? Indeed, great and severe it is in the sight of Allah that you say that which you do not do. So he said, is this something which you have brought into your life? Are you on this level that you do not say stuff which you are not doing? So the person said no. Then he said قال فالحرف الثالث. So the third ayah on the point is قال قول العبد الصالح شعيب عليه السلام وما أريد أن أخالفكم إلى ما أنهاكم عنه إن أريد إلا الإصلاح أحكمت هذه الآية قال لا قال فابدأ بنفسك. That the third ayah, he said, it is the statement of Hazrat Shu'aib alayhi salam, where he said, I do not intend to contradict you and do that which I prohibit you from. I only intend to do goodness. So he asked him, are you safe from this? Have you brought this into your life? So the man said no. Then Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu told him, then begin and start with your own self. Now, apparently if you look at this point over here, it may seem to contradict the previous topic which we done, which says that even if you don't do it, go ahead and do it. Even if you don't, if you're not engaged in this particular good deed, you must still go ahead and command people with the goodness. Even if you are engaged in this particular evil, you must still prohibit the people from it. This statement seems to contradict it slightly, but it's not exactly a contradiction. This was a specific incident. This is now a person who wants to go out, whether you want to call him to be from the Hisbah, there's a person who wants to be I think the internet term is like called fitna police, the Sharia police, things of the sort, as the forum terms people would call it, that you go around looking if anybody's engaged in anything wrong and you correct them. You see anything that's evil and you prohibit it, anything good you command it, stuff of that sort over there. So when you are going out, you're taking it upon yourself as a duty, then you should be on that level. Meaning, it's like, if there's nobody around it's a time of salah and there's nobody around, and there's someone who's now an unqualified person, then he will go in front and he will perform the salah. But let's say, for example, a man without a beard, he's not fit to be an imam. But if there's nobody available, he goes in front and he beats the imam, and the salah behind him is valid. But if you have a choice, you don't put such a person in front as an imam. So this is a type of situation which is over here, that there are people who are commanding the good and there are people prohibiting the evil. So for you to now say, I want to go join the, like you can say, the Saudi religious police as they are called, you're going to put yourself out there for this particular purpose, then make sure that you are on that level where you are not falling short of the same things which you are going to be condemning other people about. What this point is not saying again is that, as people today make it, first worry about yourself, don't worry about other people and stuff of that sort. Leave them in their sin, worry about your own self. This is, as you would say, a more modernistic concept where it's like, let he without sin cast the first stone. That's a belief of Christianity, not Islam. So this is not what Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was trying to imply here. Like I say, it's a specific issue that you are putting yourself out there as a job for this particular purpose, then you must be fit for that post. That is what it is trying to imply. He goes further, he says, he quotes a new, or rather another incident over here. وقال إبراهيم النخعي إني لأكره القصص لثلاث آيات. قوله تعالى أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم، وقوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون، وقوله إخبارا عن شعيب وما أريد أن أخالفكم إلى ما أنهاكم عنه. He says that Imam Ibrahim al-Nakha'i rahimahullah, he said that I dislike giving stories and narrating things of this nature due to 3 ayat, which is, the first one, do you command people with goodness while you forget about your own selves? The second one is, oh you who have believed, why do you say that which you do not do? And the third one is that what is mentioned of Shu'aib alayhi salam, where he said that I do not intend to contradict you and do that which I have prohibited you from. So that then is the end of the tafsir of ayah number 44, and next week inshallah we will continue onwards from ayah number 45. If anybody has any questions, you can feel free to ask your questions now. Just to wrap everything up in a nutshell, what all the tafsir is saying over here is that it is not befitting a Muslim that you should be commanding people with goodness or prohibiting them from evil when you are engaged in that evil or not doing that particular act of goodness. But if the situation is such that you are the only person around, then it is still your duty to command the goodness and to prohibit the evil. You will be sinful for you engaging in the evil and not doing the goodness, but it is 2 separate obligations, and one is not cancelled out by falling short in the other. So therefore, as you say, that just because you are engaged in a particular evil don't mean that you are now not allowed to prohibit other people from taking part in that particular sin as well. And of course the other way, the opposite way around, that just because you may not be doing a particular good deed doesn't mean that you should now not do or rather that you should not command people to do that good deed just because you are not doing it. Alright, so that is the end of that point, and we don't seem to be having any questions. So then inshallah we will end on this point over here, and like I say, next week inshallah we will continue on from ayah number 45 of Surah Al-Baqarah, which is at the ending part of page number 60 of volume number 1 of the abridged version of Tafseer Ibn Kathir. So until then we will end for now when we say وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.